intro music? Yeah! Woohoo!
Today, everybody, we're going to talk about prototype technology coming into the game here in September 2025, what that means for the game. I'm going to give my honest take on all the ones available, as well as going over the basics of the loop that will also involve allowing you to progress in these, do more of them, and of course, do your favorite thing in this game, grind, baby, grind. All day long, every day, all day. That's what we do around here. Hey, if we get lucky, maybe something cool to mine in the future. All the jokes aside, let's jump into it. First, what we're going to do is we're going to read the article right here. Q-Snap and making things possible. Commanders Update A2 introduces a new branch in the Forbidden Tech family, Prottype Tech. Now, key here on the Prottype Tech is they will actually use the Forbidden Tech slot. And there are some positives to the new type of tech here compared to Forbidden Tech. Number one, it's not reliant on the Q trial assessment, meaning you're not going to get stuck at tier 11, level 55, like many of our players are already. If you didn't know, there are some people who, are just sitting there wishing and waiting for the ability to max these things out. And sadly, not the case. As you can see with my time crystal, just tier 11, level 55, can't do anything with it. You're stuck. And for those curious, I've maxed out my Q trials. Like, they're done, as in all of them are completed. Scopely, by the way, this is just another reminder, because obviously your G6 players have complained about this a lot. But for the sake of all the newer players who are out there who maybe did not know that was a thing, it's kind of silly that I can complete my Q trials completely. Yeah, it's all of them done. And yet, still, to this day, Quantum Slipstream, Time Crystal, Red Matter, etc., can't max those out. Maybe we should work on that. Just a thought, just a little bit of a think as we're pushing in new content. Anyway, let's jump on down. Is a new type of ship equipment that lives in the Forbidden Tech slot. You utilize fusion rods to unlock, slot, etc. And it upgrades entirely through the aggregation loop. No Q trials needed. So basically what I just said, but that's okay. We can do the same thing. How about this? Pretty graphic, distractions. But here's your pretty graphic about how it works. As far as the loop, here is the loop itself. So kind of predictable. You got aggregation hostiles, which look oddly like those Suliban, not Suliban, the hostile chasers in the original Augment space, but painted gold. Yeah, so same hostile, different color. The galaxy's under attack from the aggregation collective and equipped with hypothermic delay. Basically, they can attack your hull directly. That's going to be fun. These deadly hostiles can deal direct hull damage before firing a single shot. To effectively counter this threat, you must construct the recon. It's another building. Now, you know what? I'm not going to get into the negatives. Another building is coming, and there are more currencies attached to the building. So destroy aggregation hostiles to collect loot to exchange in the aggregation refinery. Now, these hostiles are separated by level. So different level of these hostiles drops different loot, which is also going to change the refinery options that you are refining. But over there, you're going to access the aggregation refinery to unlock all new prototype tech, as well as targeted sourcing for legacy Forbidden Tech and materials, the older ones that we've been looking for to get sourcing, which is nice to have that. This is another refinery. So after that, we're going to have the Recon Locus schematics to upgrade the building and aggregation smuggled studies. Then you have this one right over here. You see it makes a big loop. That's the hints of the point of the loop. Use aggregation smuggled studies to do the new research, because there are several new researches, around a dozen, if I remember correctly, where you'll have those for different things like there's ISO boosting. Actually, let's say buffs against players for PvP, Forbidden Tech, USS Vengeance cost efficiency, because the Vengeance has been complained about so much, they've already released an efficiency to make it cheaper to upgrade. So maybe if you're out there and you're a high-level player, you'll appreciate that. But let's go ahead and jump back into the article so that we can talk about them specifically, as in the actual new FTs and the PTs, I guess, in the FT slot. So you have 3 PvP ones and 2 of what they're calling utility. These are essentially taking the Quantum Slipstream, which I've talked about being the best FT in the game, bar none. This is kind of making better versions of that, but specifically for PvP. So we start with the Romulan mines for Interceptor. And I'll be honest, reading this and going through the numbers of how this scales, it just feels like we're making Interceptors even stronger than they were before. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly, is kind of up for you to decide. In fact, if you've got early thoughts, drop them down in the comments section down below. But a Border Guard's worst surprise, try Cobalt Spheroids. Just call them mines. Anyway, you're going to get Apex Barrier from 500 up to 40,000. Honestly, not that big of a deal because Apex Shred is so prevalent. But Apex Shred goes from 3 all the way up to 50%. And then you get a 1% reduction in your opponent's shield mitigation or their shield effectiveness each round, maxing out 25%. Now, assuming that stacks the same way, is cumulative the same way that the Quantum Slipstream is, that means within 4 rounds, you will remove completely your opponent's shields. Now, that is specifically, though, looks to be PvP. We'll see if that actually applies for everything else, but it should be PvP only, which will be the big difference between the Quantum Slipstream and these, because the Quantum Slipstream works on everything. This is specifically PvP. From tier A, your interceptor critical damage versus players goes from 40% up to 500%. The higher you take it, the better the performance you will get from each one of these items. You also have the counterplay device, which is for explorers, which is going to do Apex Barrier for your explorer, 500 to 40k, very similar, basically identical to what you just saw. Apex Shred, 3 to 50, again, same thing you just saw. Same thing in terms of the per round, again, should be cumulative, but per round, reduction in shields, maxing out 25%. And then you see the Explorer Isolytic Defense. So before we had Interceptor Critical Damage going up to 500%. Now we've got ISO Defense, which feels a little bit weaker, honestly, mainly because we have Wrath of Khan Joachim in the game now, such an important figure that can be sourced and upgraded 100% free to play and maxed out, even in G4. We have G4 players who have done it via the Augment Exile loop. And there's a couple ways to do that sourcing, but if we just hop over there real quick to just take a gander, here's our Augment Exile. Once you get to 60 million reputation, you can run these repeatable Cons Champion missions, whether you're doing level 1 or level 5, which that's going to be nightmares for our level 70s, tier 12 and up hostile or ships. But you can do the Joachim upgrades and the sourcing for him, allowing you to get more and more goodies. And again, it's just really, really good. So there's your Con unlock, and the Con upgrade is going to provide that Joachim affinity you need to upgrade him as well as max him out. So even though this is nice to get more ISO defense, it feels like if you've gone that route, that 500% is really not going to be that big of a deal because Joachim provides significantly more. I mean, he is, I think, unarguably at this point, one of the best officers in the game. And we'll see, like I said, if this ends up really playing out in a way that benefits an explorer-led PvP group. Just kind of hard to see it as it is now. Again, not trying to be negative, trying to let you know what's going to be effective in terms of the general builds of this game. Joachim is just simply one of, if not the best officers in the game. It's another 500%. Maybe not going to be needed if you've already got him. The other side of this, though, is if your primary ship is a cube or, your primary ship is a Sanctus, that's something to put on your Explorer because your primary ship will likely have Wrath of Khan Joachim. Moving on to the self-replicating mines. For the battleship, same thing. Apex Barrier up to 40k, Apex Shred up to 50. Then we have the same shield reduction, and then finally Isolytic Damage. And I actually kind of like that one the second most. ISO is still very relevant in today's game. I just talked about the importance and the high levels of ISO defense with various tools such as Wrath of Khan Joachim. But as people have learned, ISO certainly isn't out the window, especially when combined with Cascade, so I do like that in terms of damage creation. The two utility items for you more PvE-focused players out there, so you have the Harvester, which is a mining booster for protected cargo, regular cargo, and as well as boosting mining speed for ore, crystal, gas higher than I'm pretty sure anything else in the game at the moment with a 1500% booster. Kind of a drawback to me is just how much is that needed. Again, you have a bonus for there at the crystal and then the general mining speed. I'm not sure how much that's really warranted or needed, but it's there. For all you mining ships out there, throw it on your Selka, your Novi, or even as low as, depending on when you decide to get it, your lower level mining ships. And last but certainly not least, the Orion Syndicate Bomb. So this is going to extend warp range up to 50, which is another thing that we've seen that players have liked with the Quantum Slipstream. It's going to boost ship XP up to 175%. Again, not that big of a deal, but more is more. Increases your rep gain from hostiles up to 300%. We'll definitely want to double check that works in the Mirror universe because not every ability works in Mirror. Would really like to see it work in that area. Hopefully it does. I'll have to test that myself, but if it does, that definitely jumps up its value. Raises base loot from non-armada hostiles up to 50%, and because it's rare, it's easier to source. And unlocks for free at Recon Locus 51, that obviously being the building we were just referring to. So I think this is pretty neat. I think it's good to have a free-to-play one already. Obviously, the PvP ones are, potentially upsetting the PvP meta. And the main people that is going to affect are the upper G6 players. Many of you probably wondering, is this going to really damage your game? I'll be honest, I highly doubt it if you're an average player in STFC. New PvP metas come and go. But if you're a high-level player, Pay attention, especially to those Romulan mines. That can be something that can really trick things up in terms of the FT slots, something you should pay attention to. But if you need help with that, of course, you are always more than welcome to reach out to me on Discord, on Facebook, on X, etc. Like the video if you haven't already. That's it for today, talking about Prottype tech, what they are, what's actually going to be valuable here for players in STFC. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek League video. Thanks as always for supporting me and my family, and I'll see you on the next one.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.